of course, there's not really many bad things about playing a clean game. It's more, for me, it's more that we prove as a team to ourselves that we can play this clean and we can be a good team. Like, for example, I think TSM does a pretty good job of it. They usually, when they're playing well, don't take like really risky gambles or like really bad fights. So I want to strive for that, and I'm kind of a perfectionist when it comes to like my team. Of course, I really want us to succeed, and of course, any player should have this mentality. But I want to win finals, and I've gotten so many chances, but we couldn't win, and that's really unfortunate. But hopefully this time we can make it happen.
Welcome back to the North American LCS. Cloud9 definitely had a clean game in game number 1 of this series, but the teams are readying up on stage for the second bout between Cloud9 and Team Envy. Taking a look back at that performance, though, there's 2 players that really stand out to me, and like they did to you too, we had this discussion. Smoothie, first of all, 1-1-14 on that Alistar, 71% kill participation, including the first blood. So much work done by this guy.
One of the things that has really constantly impressed me about Smoothie is his ability to bring out picks that he doesn't necessarily show a lot and perform at a super high level on them. Sometimes you'll see a lot of players, it's like, oh, well, this is meta. They bring it out. You can very clearly tell that they are not that practiced on the champion, don't have full mastery over it. I can't really recall any situations like that with Smoothie. It always feels like, oh, he brought out Taric. Oh, well, he's great at that. Oh, okay, he brings out Bard. Oh, well, I guess he's one of the best at that too, right? He's so consistent, such a high-level player, and I think it's been such a strong addition to Cloud9 as an organization.
And when a player who does as much work as Smoothie did doesn't end up getting player of the game because somebody else stepped up even harder, you know that it's got to be somebody like Jensen, who just had ridiculous numbers in game number 1.
Yeah, I mean, the guy was an absolute monster, putting out almost 35% of the team's damage, almost 900 damage per minute. Pretty ridiculous, especially when you realize how early on they ended the game, and that gets more and more inflated the later you go generally as you do more and more damage. So Jensen definitely with a monster performance and making his case to become the MVP.
It's that Cloud9 fidget spinner. That's what he's doing. That's how he's staying focused in between the first couple of games. He's making sure that he's going to keep on rolling with that momentum as we head into game number 2. And honestly, if Cloud9 can keep that momentum up, it is going to be a fast series overall.
It certainly is. And Envy is not looking to go out like they did yesterday.
Nope.
A couple very quick games against Immortals and Cloud9 smashing them in game number 1. This would be their 4th straight series loss to a playoff team. They are going into playoffs. That's not the situation you want to be in. So Envy need to be able to bounce back, need to show us something better. Perhaps it's time to just kind of dial it back a little bit, try to draft some very safe lanes, try to enter that mid game in a place where you're not already at a disadvantage.
And I am not surprised at all to see Orianna banned away. I was thinking about doing one of those hangman tweets with ban Orianna in between the first couple of games, but I decided against it. But obviously, Envy was on the same wavelength as me mentally coming into this one. So Cloud9 banning away Kalista, Elise, and LeBlanc as their choices.
I mean, great, you banned away Orianna, but do you really feel that much better playing against Jensen's Syndra or his Taliyah, right? That's kind of the problem with that. And if you're so scared of a player, you have to kind of ban away the most vanilla champion in the role. That does kind of worry me because Maokai and Zac and champions like this are available. And it'll be interesting to see if they actually do prioritize Zac over the Maokai. To me, that is kind of shocking. I think that Maokai should be a tier above Zac right now. But that being said, they could actually get both here.
Both of them? That's disgusting.
I think they should take both. I think not taking Maokai would be a mistake. I think you put Maokai for impact. That's incredibly strong front line already. And that would be such a powerful top side of the map.
That's so busted. Maokai plus Zac together. Oh, man. Let's see what they decide to go for here. They do go for the Sivir, making sure that they've got some powerful AD carry potential there. We saw Sneaky go off 2 last game. Honestly, nobody on C9 didn't have a good performance in game number 1. Sneaky was able to deal plenty of damage with Smoothie constantly providing those engages for him. They do know that they're up against Thresh and Taliyah on the side of Team Envy. Jensen going back and forth. He decides to pick up his own mid laner here.
All right, so they are going to go with the Syndra. Definitely a very standard pick for Jensen. His 2nd most played this season. Has always done very, very well on the champion. Certainly one of the strongest ones, and I think it's a pretty good matchup into the Taliyah. Taliyah sometimes can have that earlier push, but that being said, playing with a non-combat ultimate against someone who has one of the most powerful combat ultimates in the game can be pretty tough in that isolated 1v1. I'm not expecting Maokai to go through another phase of pick and ban, but it's crazy to me that neither team selected him.
I don't know if in a 1v1, Syndra's ulti counts as a combat ultimate, because as soon as you cast it, the combat ends, because the other guy dies.
That is true.
Rek'Sai locked in on the side of Team Envy, though, so they're getting their own jungler going. Rek'Sai up against Zac, as Twitch and Alistar are banned away in the second phase of the bans. Team Envy not wanting to go up against Smoothie's pick again either.
Yeah, it kind of feels like they're doing that strategy where you use in solo queue, you just got smashed by something, you ban.
Ban whatever you just lost to
like,
because you tilted.
I don't think I want to play against that again.
Be like, nope, played against this guy last game, not doing it here again. They will ban the Maokai as well.
All right, so it is going to be Maokai taken away, not going to allow Impact a chance to grab that in the final round of picks for Cloud9. I think that is very intelligent. That being said, J4 still untouched, and the big and ban priorities have been a bit of a head scratcher for me from some teams where you see people picking J4 first overall and then ignoring him completely, not even in the pick and ban whatsoever.
Yeah,
it is definitely a bit strange.
It's somewhat sketchy, but we'll have to see how the last few picks of the draft play out. Envy thinking about their own AD carry to go up against that Sivir. Apollo hovering here on the Vayne for a hot minute. Does he actually want to go with this one?
I do not think so. I don't think
no.
we'll play Vayne into
no
Zac
Vayne
and
today.
Syndra.
Hey, look, it's that champ that you and I lost an ARAM to an hour ago.
I've lost many an ARAM to Varus.
He's a very good ARAM champ.
That's true.
All right, well, let's see if Apollo's Varus is going to be as intimidating as that one guy's on the ARAM map as Cloud9 decides to lock in Gnar for themselves in the top lane. That was banned away in game number 1. Also grabbing Smoothie's Taric. You brought that up as an example of one of the champions that you've seen him play so successfully. He's going to be playing it this game.
Yeah, and I think that makes a lot of sense. Grabbing the Taric, especially with this very engage-heavy comp, you have that massive front line of Gnar and Zac who are looking to dive in there to be able to get that damage done. And you can time that very easily when you're using it aggressively alongside the Sivir ultimate and that dive. You just pop the Taric ultimate as they go in. You're always going to get a lot of value from it. And that's why I think it's more powerful used in the engage than it is defensively.
Envy going to respond with their final pick being the Galio. They played against it last time. They're going to play as it this time. And hopefully, for their sake, they want to accomplish what Cloud9 accomplished with it in game number 1, which was where as they went in, he was able to always provide this amount of protection to whoever was going in, whoever was in danger. The hero's entrance was time and again finding itself used well in those fights.
It certainly was. So they are going to have that Galio, and you can utilize the Rek'Sai kind of as a way in, but I don't think it's the most powerful way in there for him. This is not, an Olaf with Ghost charging in there. This is not a J4 setting you up. So they do really rely, I think, on the Rek'Sai as an entrance for Galio. We'll see if they're going to be able to perform there. I also think that the Galio, while you can do fine against the Gnar in a 1v1 in the earlier stages of the game, the further in you go, the harder and harder I think it gets. And it certainly could be tough for Seraph in that lane eventually.
And Team Envy also has to make sure that they're still in a good spot from that first game. They don't want to end up sort of falling down that rabbit hole of what all went wrong, how did all this end up happening this wrong way. You've got to be able to mentally reset after a tough loss like that. We always talk about mental resets and being able to come back in a series, but especially in one that starts off like that, it can be pretty rough.
Yeah, it definitely can, and especially when you're on a pretty nasty streak. It's really, I think, gets harder and harder every time you lose to be able to bounce back and continually keep coming back and trying to stay positive, trying to stay confident, because it can kind of seem disingenuous. It can kind of feel fake when you've lost 5-6 games in a row and you're like, we can do it, guys.
All right, here we go, guys. 11th one's the charm. That's not exactly the way that it plays out, but you do have to keep yourself in a mindset where winning is still the goal, and it's a realistic goal. Because this is a team that's going to playoffs. We've said it 2 or 3 times now already, and you need to be able to show that you can contend with these other teams, that you're not just going to be a quarterfinals team and then you go home.
And most importantly, you need to show yourself that you can actually contend with these other teams, or it's going to be extremely hard to actually compete, to be able to go in. If they go into playoffs losing 6, 7, 8 games in a row, how do you even start to think about beating one of the top 3 teams in the league in the first round? It just seems almost an impossible feat.
And it's the opposite for Cloud9, right? We talked about how this team was struggling early and in the middle part of this split, but now towards the end, they've just completely flipped the switch and turned back on and found those things that their strategies were missing, like the players have expressed. So they're going to be going into playoffs on a high note, especially if they win here. And tomorrow, of course, they still got 2 series overall left to play, including this one.
Yeah, I mean, if they can win this series, that's 5 straight series wins. If they win tomorrow, I believe they're playing Echo Fox or one of the lower tier teams. So there's a good chance that they would win there. That would be 6 straight series wins, a huge boost in confidence for C9. You can see Impact trying to steal away some of these little chickens. Not going to be able to, but he will be able to actually get a fair bit of damage down on Seraph, as Seraph is just eating all of these hits, running the lane, and he's going to start lane out at like 30% health.
That's a feels bad, man. And now he just walks back towards the wave again. He might take even more damage.
Playing against a range champion can sometimes not be that fun.
No, Gnar is not the most fun thing to lane against as a melee champion. Turns out Hakuho and Apollo take a little bit of damage, trade a little bit back, to be fair to them as well, but keep an eye on these two, especially because last game, bottom lane just got completely run over. LirA might be looking for Contractz here, who smites his own blue buff away and walks out.
And you can see Nisqy actually was moving over there as well. But this is not a lane that has that explosive potential. Sure, Sneaky and Smoothie could still win the lane. This is not Tristana Alistar, though, where they can, on a moment's notice, flash in and just jump forward and take out the opposing lane. They're playing with Exhaust. They're playing Sivir, who does not have a move block, who can not really follow up on these engages nearly as well. That being said, if Zach comes down there and if they actually have their jungler show up, then it becomes a lot more threatening.
LirA stealing away the Gromp from Contractz. He tries to slingshot himself in there, but LirA takes the Blast Cone out, gets himself away to safety. Don't really think Contractz will have much else to say about that. Fires off the Scryer's Bloom just to keep eyes on him. Mid laner 1v1. Jensen getting the better of Nisqy for now.
Yeah, Jensen actually getting way better of Nisqy. Nisqy's out of pots too, so not only does he have this massive health advantage, Jensen hasn't even used a potion yet.
Jensen really stepping up as we enter the very final parts of Summer Split. Wants to make sure that when they go to playoffs, he is a force to be reckoned with. He wants other people to respect what him and his team can bring to the table and wants to make it to that final spot again. Cloud9, one of the teams that historically has been able to do that. Whether or not they win, whether or not they lose, they're always a competitor. One of the few teams that actually has a victorious banner hanging here in the LCS studios showing that they have been split champions in the past.
They certainly have, and Jensen kind of trying to greed out and stay around for this extra wave may mean the wave actually kind of gets frozen against him, which may punish him a little bit, but Seraph out of mana and actually gonna get blocked, may get taken down.
Nice job by Impact. Flash for Flash. He stopped the Justice Punch by walking forward.
It's been a while since we've said this one, but top dive means Gnar that started it. Impact looking back in form, and you gotta remember, he was going into that form right before playoffs, and here we are right before playoffs again. Impact having some good games, and now crushing Seraph, getting that solo kill. It's got to be demoralizing. After the level 1 start, he gets chunked out, he gets taken down, and he's going to be in for a tough game.
Seraph has got to make sure he doesn't allow this one to slip away. One more look at how it happened.
This is the thing with Galio. You can only trade with your spells up. You have to hit your 3-spell combination, then you have to retreat. Impact simply stepped past the Winds of War, and Seraph is basically out of mana there. He can't actually continue the fight. He can't do a long trade. So anytime you use your spells on the mini wave, Impact can just right-click on you and take this long trade. That's where Gnar is really going to start to take over.
Seraph having given up that first blood, but Envy still has the gold advantage overall, up about 300 over their counterparts. A big part of that is here in the bottom lane, where the farm advantage is going the way of Apollo and Hakuho. Like you mentioned, Sivir, Taric, not that much of a lane threat, as Nisqy continues to eat damage from Jensen.
And to be fair to Seraph, he's still up in farm there. LirA stole away the Gromp, so that's some gold going into Envy's pockets. They're doing well in farm across the map, but Contractz looking for Nisqy.
Elastic Slingshot comes in, the flash gets popped, and Contractz did his job.
Yeah, being able to get that summoner out very easily. Nisqy really respecting that. Not sure that it was actually going to land. It looked like it was a bit short to my eye, but it could have maybe clipped him there. LirA is up around the top side. Would love to get a response kill here and try to kind of slingshot this lane, perhaps back towards Seraph.
Impact jumping in, Gnar comes out. Now he turns back into his tiny self. Finds a little bit more damage through that boomerang blade, but with LirA hanging around, Impact won't really be able to do much more for now. although Seraph has no ability to fight him 1v1.
Yeah, the fact that Contractz actually can't duel LirA is what pushed Impact back. Because Contractz had to retreat back into his jungle, it meant that it could have been a collapse from Rek'Sai, and now it's going to be a bit of a smite fight here. Contractz does get it. That was big.
Making sure that he can secure that wolf. Good job on him winning that fight. Nisqy hanging around. Remember, he has no flash, and Jensen now has level 6 available. Really, really got to respect the damage output coming there. You get hit by one of those scatter the weak stuns, it could be a death sentence if Contractz is hanging around and can follow up.
Yeah, exactly. Especially, as you said, without the flash, right? They forced it once. If you want to try to go for that return gank, we know Smoothie makes a lot of room toward mid lane, and no spell shield there from Sneaky.
Nice hook from Hakuho, but now Apollo's the one who's got to watch out for the damage. Spell shield comes out there at the last minute.
Good trades back and forth, but MV bot lane is laning quite well here. I don't think that's too much cause for concern, though, from C9's side, because Taric and Sivir are so powerful in these team fights, and they're more there to enable some of the other champions as well. You know, Sivir is fine in lane, but you're not picking Sivir to dominate the lane.
Right.
You're picking Sivir because she's a late-game damage threat and because of the ultimate to actually get Smoothie and Contractz and Impact into the fight. And Taric, likewise, is much more of a team-fighting support than it is a laning one.
You withstand the lane. You don't win the lane. As long as you get out in decent enough shape, you're going to be just fine as the game scales up. Ooh. Impact tries to jump in. He's got Contractz backing him up. They're looking to grab this kill onto Seraph, but that turret stings an awful lot, Azael.
Yeah, that was not a very well set up dive. I don't even think...
Ooh.
I mean, Contractz really had no business going in there after you saw Impact actually get tagged by the Justice Punch, because once he got knocked up, once he got interrupted, he is by the turret. Contractz tries to go in to follow up, but there's no damage available. It's not like you have Mega Gnar, so a bit of a silly dive trying to come in there from Contractz. Does cost them their flash, but no lives are lost.
And it's funny what we heard Smoothie talking about right before this game, saying he respects teams that can make sure that they take a lead and not do risky plays, not do those big gambles with it. And then right there, you see them make a risky, gambly type play on the top side. It just goes to show that no matter how much a team improves, they always have other improvements to make. You're never quite going to be the best you can possibly be. There'll always be something that you can improve on. And sometimes it's calls like that that can really be dangerous. Fortunately for them, it does just cost them the flash. They don't end up giving a double kill or something crazy like that.
And that's why League of Legends is such a complex game. Because it's not just about controlling your character. It's about understanding where people could be on the map, breaking down all the different possible decisions, and always trying to go for the best possible one. There's so many complexities to the game. And another hook coming out. They're actually looking for an all-in here.
Full-on 2v2 bottom side. Taric ulti comes out. The Cosmic Radiance keeps them all lit up and invincible for a couple of moments, but the disengage from Envy just popping that ulti. Now, though, Azael, we might see some more action down here with that big Taric ulti cooldown expended. Impact again, jumping in on Seraph. Taunt channeled. Doesn't exactly do a whole lot for him. More Big Ben's going to be thrown out there.
Yeah, and he's going to be able to continue to chip away at Seraph. It's definitely a frustrating lane to play, especially since the triple Doran's build has been kind of taken away. It's not as easy to get to that infinite pushing.
Yeah, you got to build real items now in Galio. What a bummer.
Feels bad.
No more cheese spamming these early game items.
Hey man, and that's how you survived a lot of these matchups. And Impact already back up here. They're looking to push him off the pink ward, wants to defend that. They have a nice vision line with this pink ward as well as the one below Envy's red brush. So those two are going to keep Impact feeling very safe as long as he's playing aggressively and pushing up. He can defend them and know likely where LirA is coming from.
Very good situation for the Gnar for now. That CS advantage will continue to build, become much stronger. Ninja Tabby's already built on Seraph. Pretty much the best defensive item you can go against an auto-attack reliant champion in top lane. You always see high-level top laners do this kind of thing in a matchup. They know they're going to be losing. The amount of damage reduction you get is so effective, plus the extra movement keeps that Gnar just a little bit less effective than he otherwise would be, as Envy hanging out in this bottom side river, clearing out the Scuttle Crab. First Drake is Dragon, so we might see some contention for that. Usually you won't see it until the first turret goes down, though.
And Impact is actually zoning Seraph completely off the mini waves. Multiple waves have actually died to the turret. He's up 2 levels, but this is the risk now. Nisqy's coming up, but looks like he's just going to be able to walk out scot-free.
He's looking to style on these guys.
I mean, look at all the minions that are dying to the turret. This is so much experience in gold. Seraph was actually ahead or around even in CS earlier in the game. Now he's down over 20 CS, and the experience is the biggest loss there. So that's such a smart play from Impact. Knowing that Seraph cannot walk to lane through him, he simply denies all of those minions instead of trying to chip at the turret a little bit. This is actually much more effective, and I think a really great play from Impact.
Seraph just now ticked level 8. Impact has been level 9 for half of an experience bar.
Yeah.
The difference between these two is really, really large right now, and it's only going to get worse as Impact gets stronger and stronger. Nice wall up there. But Seraph just feels like he's been rendered completely ineffective in this lane. There's nothing that he can do to Impact. This is all at Impact's discretion.
Exactly. And Impact would love to sit in a side lane for the rest of the game against Seraph, because that is something that Gnar really does excel at. Galio needs to get to the team fights. Galio needs to get out of lane and make things happen elsewhere. But if you're always pushed to your turret, it's very difficult to do that because you're always going to be giving up turret damage, because you're always going to be giving up that experience and guaranteed gold.
Getting that Black Cleaver up and running, which is what he'll be doing first and foremost for Impact, will be very important for that as well. Help shred through some of that armor that Seraph will be undoubtedly building to try to stop this harass and this bully.
And a lot of it is also about the cooldown reduction, because once you hit that cooldown reduction, you hit level 9 for your boomerang, pretty much every time you catch it, you can just throw it again. It gets to the point where, yes, there is a little bit of a delay, but it's non-stop harassment, it's non-stop wave push, and it really does raise the power of Impact in this lane. He's going to be looking to just chase after Seraph.
Seraph trying to get away
Level
from
10.
this one, but Impact is hastened up. Seraph is slowed down. Oh no, he's got the Mega Gnar, the wallop, the slam, the damage. Seraph's gone. Impact with the solo kill for the second time this game.
Yeah, both the kills are solo kills here for Impact, and this is going to prompt C9 to start up this dragon. They know that they have the TP advantage on top side. Impact's going to be shoving this in. Should be their dragon, and Impact is just so far ahead. We'll see if Envy wants to fight. It looks like they do. They are hanging around here.
They're bringing everybody in. They're going to find the pull onto Smoothie. Cosmic Radiance not coming out just yet. The heal comes through. Smoothie is down. Apollo, Hakuho, and Nisqy running themselves away now. LirA in the back of the pit, going to nearly be executed, but he's not able to be taken down just yet. Contractz grabbing the Drake, but Envy may still find themselves a hell of a fight. Impact gets taken down, and the game is tied up in kill.
LirA actually played that fight so well to survive and draw so much pressure, utilizing his tunnels, his flash, as well as the ultimate. And they came out a lot better than they should have, but you've got to say, where was the ultimate from Smoothie? It was so late. He used 3 or 4, maybe even more globals before actually dropping that ultimate, and if it had come down earlier, perhaps C9 can actually fight back better. They still do get the dragon, but you've got to favor that trade, certainly for Envy.
All the way, now up 1,000 gold over Cloud9, and really just getting their footing back in this game. Things seem to kind of be slipping away, at least top side, but having that little bit of a shutdown onto Impact, stopping his steamroll a bit, and just winning that fight has got to do wonders for morale for the team as well, saying, look, we can beat these guys.
Yeah, and here is the fight again. Jensen is going back to mid lane to actually take the CS, while Nisqy is faster on the play. So now he's un-CC'd, he uses his W, he uses his flash, he uses his heal, he melees, then he does it. It's not like it was that slow, but I feel like you want to just instantly drop that for some hope that you're going to be able to then survive while you're utilizing your other spells. The fact that Sneaky is pushed out of the fight by LirA with the Rek'Sai ultimate means there's no damage coming back in, and LirA just skates right out untouched. So LirA really utilizing the full Rek'Sai kit very well to survive in this fight, and had they got the dragon also, it would have been really big for Envy. But either way, they're looking for first turret, and they're at a big advantage.
Ooh, Nisqy caught out in some serious trouble here. Jensen brings him down. I was just about to compliment Nisqy on the amount of damage he put into that Drake fight, but then some compromising positioning
still
ends up getting him killed.
him.
I will compliment him.
There you
Nisqy
go.
had some awesome team fight presence, and then some sub-awesome positioning in mid lane that got him caught out.
Sub-awesome. I like that. Describes my League of Legends play.
Let's... Cloud9 pushing up mid lane. Looking to take the tier 1 turret, but Envy is going to stop that in its tracks. Apollo, Hakuho, and LirA are enough to clear the wave out.
Impact is killing their turrets top lane, though. No one is up there, and Seraph wanted to shove in the wave, but his base was so delayed that they're actually losing a lot of damage on this turret. Impact already killed 1. He'll get the second as well, and he's going to just walk out scot-free. So some poor lane assignments coming out from Envy. You know, they get themselves back into the game with a great team fight, but then they're not taking the next steps. Yes, you want to push in the wave all the way to turret, deny some CS, but is denying a bit of CS worth losing a turret or a turret and a half of your own? Of course not. So
I'm going to vote no.
Yeah, I'm going to vote no as well. Unless it's surrender vote, where I might be going.
I was going to say, at this point, I mean, it's 15 minutes.
Yeah, of course.
But Envy does have the ability to come back and win these fights. We've seen that. All jokes aside, their team fighting was solid when they fought at the Drake. But they have to find a way to give themselves that opportunity, right? Because Impact split push, like you said, it just is out of control right now.
And you can't slip up on the easy bits, right? Things like lane assignments, things like this, I think are much more simple to do. It requires focus, it requires clear shot calling and decision making, but it is not like a mechanically difficult thing. It is something that they very easily know that they messed up. They just need to keep that clarity during the game and be able to stay on point with those, because these little mistakes really do wear away at them and give up a lot of leads and a lot of advantages that they sometimes do accrue.
And the Rift Herald goes the way of Cloud9 this time. Remember, last time they did try to take it, but Envy ended up stealing it away in that crazy team fight. Now Envy pushing onto the tier 2 bottom side. Cloud9 doesn't have anybody here just yet. The minions will expire momentarily, but Envy still has enough firing time to bring this one down.
Yeah, nicely done by Envy. Gonna rotate down bot side. The Cloud9, they get the Rift Herald, but the Rift Herald for a turret is not a great trade, because the Rift Herald is not a guaranteed turret. It's an opportunity to take a turret.
Right. It's the way Zyrene puts it. A turret is a turret, but a Rift Herald could be anything, even a turret. Or it could also be nothing.
Could also be nothing, as we have seen a couple times. But either way, C9 are putting faith in Impact. The fact that he got the solo gold on a couple of turrets topside, as well as having a big CS advantage, a couple kills, means he is very far ahead of Seraph, and now a red buff on this Gnar is pretty much the last thing you want to see. C9 has also done a good job of controlling vision around this topside. You can see a couple of those wards across the topside jungle really are going to keep them a lot more safe, and they're going to pull them back down now to try to threaten this mid lane turret. But Nisqy doing a good job already clearing out the wave. We'll see if C9 can actually take it down.
Shelly goes in, rams her big void head into that first turret, and gets rid of it. LirA now fighting Contractz off in the side of the jungle there, but now having to retreat as Impact provides the covering fire. You can see Impact also working towards that Frozen Mallet second item. Once he gets that, you legit can't go anywhere near him unless you're willing to fight to the death.
Especially in a long lane, right? The fact that both of these turrets are down on the top side, if C9 can maintain vision control up there, and he can get into that long lane against Seraph, if Seraph ever moves forward to try to push out a wave, you can get chased down and killed. So it almost pushes you back to the point where you can't do anything except sit under your turret and try to wave clear.
Seraph with his Righteous Glory up, at least will have that contribution to the team fight now the next time the 5v5 happens.
And the fact of the matter is, Galio, even from behind, can have a massive contribution in a team fight. You know, Apollo is still quite a lot of farm ahead of Sneaky. He's doing very well down in the bot lane, so if you can actually protect him, keep him safe, and have Nisqy and Apollo putting out a lot of damage, then it can not matter nearly as much if Seraph is behind, because the hero's entrance, that ultimate, still adds flat damage reduction. He still is offering a lot of CC, and while he's not as tanky as you want to be, he's still very powerful.
I'm getting a sense of deja vu here, Azale. Cloud9 going for a Drake. Envy collapsing.
Impact's almost
taken
Gnar, though.
Contractz in some trouble. Impact looking to go Mega before time runs out. Contractz goes invulnerable. Impact jumping in. Gnar on to 2. It's Apollo. He's down. That is a huge pick, and Seraph falls right after a double kill for Jensen. Nisqy on the run, threaded volleys, firing off into the back lines as Jensen will weave himself back and forth. Exhaust comes through. Impact still on the hunt, and Nisqy, you're running to the wrong base, but Impact cuts him down. And Cloud9 gets themselves a Drake +3.
Yeah, they're going to have to go back to clean up that Drake if they want it, but they are going to have the ability to do so. They get all those kills, so this was a much better team fight from Cloud9 than the first time around the Dragon. Very early Cosmic Radiance coming down from Smoothie, putting that ultimate on the team, allowing them to get that engaged, and the fact that Impact is able to find Apollo and take him down right at the start meant it was almost a sure victory for Cloud9.
You cast a curse to the sale. You're the one who said Apollo's still ahead. All you got to do is protect Apollo. And Impact says, hold up. Let me take care of that real quick. The Mega Gnar into the wall. Just no way out.
It's certainly easier said than done, but Seraph did not even use his ultimate during that fight, and that may have given them a chance to do it. Either way, they're looking for the engage. Seraph is in, and they're trying to find Sneaky.
Going after him. There comes the taunt into the hook, and Sneaky is down. Smoothie likely going to follow here. Hakuho flashing forward, wants to provide more CC. LirA coming in from the side. Smoothie trying to sidestep, but it's a double kill for Apollo. And sure enough, they're going to make a liar out of me too. As soon as I say Cloud9 wins the fight, that'll get them a Drake. Envy wins a fight, and they're probably going to get the Drake.
They probably will, but Impact shoving up on the top side, creating some pressure there, so they may not feel comfortable to do it as mid lane is pushing, top lane was pushing. They're going to go for it regardless and pick up this Dragon. Cloud9 not going to be too concerned, but here is the fight again. Hakuho looking to bait out that spell shield, does get it, and watch how much faster the Cosmic Radiance comes down this time. They know the fight is going to be fully committed to, dropping the Cosmic Radiance in time to actually save Contractz. Everyone gets inside it, then Impact flashing forward, catching them with the Mega Gnar there, and no chance for Seraph to actually get off his ultimate as he was caught up in that combo too, stunned up pretty much the full time.
And Nisqy on the run. This feels so bad when the only way to run is towards the enemy turrets.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, you're hoping maybe you can get out and make some miracle escape. It's always worth trying to at least buy time and see if you can get anything else from that, but very little chance for him to get out, and you can see in the top lane, things are just going worse and worse. 3 levels up now for Impact. Certainly not something you see very often in professional play.
And that mallet's running. Exactly what we talked about now. If that minion wave is anywhere other than beneath Seraph's turret, he has no business in the lane.
And the fact that he's on the Negatron now means even if you are landing all your spells as Seraph, you don't really have to care with some of this magic resist. You can pretty much completely ignore everything that Seraph can do and just right-click on him. Yep. And there's not a lot he can do back besides trying to clear waves under his turret and trying to hope that someone else comes help him. And then in that case, Impact just has to back off, and his team's going to be able to get advantages elsewhere. Because for now, they're establishing vision control around the bot side. He's going to be pressuring this tier 2 turret, and they could be looking at Baron very soon. I mean, look at the incredible vision Cloud9 has in the river around Baron. That's like 7 wards or something if you scroll from here down.
Which, when you have your top laner ahead like this, is exactly what you want to see. Fight breaks out, though. Contractz. Let's bounce, getting himself away. Smoothie caught out and brought down. Cosmic Radiance not able to save him this time. Sneaky still trying to fire off here. The Weaver's wall blocking him out, but LirA comes into the back lines, and Sneaky is in some serious trouble. LirA grabbing the kill on that one as Contractz caught out next. Passive is popped. They still got to squish those little blobs, and they'll do it no problem whatsoever. Envy grabbing a 3 for 0 right next to the Baron pit.
Oh.
As Jensen grabs one on the back end.
That was big. Taking down LirA eliminates any chance of them going for the Baron, and I was surprised that Impact did not decide to TP in. He had teleport advantage there over Seraph. Maybe could have tried to turn the tides of that fight. Felt that he could not, though, so he is going to hold on to it. Try to keep pushing up, maybe take away this blue buff now. Envy does get a couple kills, though, and they are holding the gold quite close, despite the fact that Seraph is at such a disadvantage.
I mean, honestly, the gold's close. The kills are dead even. Turrets are, you know, an advantage for Cloud9, but Envy is playing this game much better than game number 1.
They certainly are, and here's the engage they're looking for it again. They know that Impact is bot lane. They know that Jensen is mid lane. They have the numbers advantage, and they are willing to commit to the fight. And Sneaky getting kind of pinned back here by the Taliyah wall. Does not have his flash, so he can't actually get out. And by the time that wall expires, LirA is already there. Flash rate on top of Sneaky. Very well executed dive onto the backline. Jensen knows it's a lost fight at this point as Impact does not TP'd in. They are going to just fully retreat. But it was key that he waits here with this ward and gets the snipe onto LirA because Envy may have been able to go for the Baron.
Excellent damage from the Cloud9 mid laner, making sure that everything doesn't go completely wrong there. Damage in the last team fight, 0 and 0 on the top laner, and support from Cloud9 as Smoothie just got destroyed before he could do much of anything. And as you mentioned, Impact was split pushing. Wasn't able to contribute to that one, and he's such an important part of the team that if you don't have him in these fights, you're really going to feel that.
Yeah, you certainly are. I mean, he is so much of the advantage, right? This is a guy who's almost 3,000 gold ahead, and their advantage is only a bit over 1K, right? So if he's not in the fight, there's actually more gold on Envy in the 4v4, but C9 trying to rush down the Baron. LirA is over the wall. Will they commit for this? We'll see.
Do they want the 50-50?
Nice
Guess
play.
not. Very nice play. Stopping the Cloud9 engage.
Oh, they're into the
makes his
combo.
way there. A rampage for Apollo before the invulnerability kicks in. Contractz giving himself in the back line now. Impact grabbed up, pulled into the middle of the fight, juggled around like some sort of circus sideshow, and Cloud9 loses 2. Unstoppable for Apollo. Jensen now the one in danger. If you can bring him down, you can make some serious moves. A shutdown for Nisqy, and Envy goes for Baron.
Envy's gonna get the Baron. What a great disengage on that team fight from them. Hakuho with an incredible play, and Seraph coming in with the hero's entrance. We'll see if Contractz and Nisqy are going to try to pull off a miracle, but it doesn't look like it's way too late.
Oh no, Contractz just ends up giving over another 300 gold, and Team Envy Azael now find themselves comfortably in the driver's seat.
SC9 goes for the engage, but they're not able to pull it off properly, and I think that they need to be better coordinated on these fights. You need to be dropping the Cosmic Radiance as they're going in. Look at the Flay. Disengages both of the leaps in there from Impact and from Contractz, and Smoothie goes down before the Cosmic Radiance actually falls. The Cosmic Radiance does not land on anyone except Contractz, who's already out of the fight, and then Impact is in there by himself. They cannot continue. So C9 not really having the proper coordination on these engages. You really want to see the Taric ultimate going down as you're entering the fight, because it creates so much chaos. The opponents cannot actually fight back whatsoever for the first couple seconds, and that's going to give you a huge advantage.
I feel like the story of so many fights this game has been the slow Cosmic Radiance trigger pull from Smoothie.
And it's interesting because I never really feel like he's one of the guys to be caught in those situations. We were praising him before the game for how clean he always looks, no matter what champion he's bringing out, but I really do not think this is one of his better Taric games. Certainly, you cannot place all the blame on him by any means. He's still playing solid, but you expect a very high level to come out from him on this Taric, as it's something he is very comfortable on and very practiced at. And he has not been as good as he normally would be.
That being said, it's not just Cloud9 having mistakes, it's Envy doing well, capitalizing on those mistakes. This is a team that looks like they're a contender in playoffs here in game number 2.
Yeah, and I mean, Hakuho with that Flay probably won them the team fight, to be
Absolutely.
honest. I mean, the fact that not only does he disengage Contractz, but he also disengages Impact, that would have been an enormous amount of CC coming out to start the fight for C9, which would have meant Nisqy and Jensen could have piled forward, but really good timing on that play from Hakuho, and that is kind of the playmaking potential of Thresh.
And Hakuho is sitting on that perfect support score, 0, 0, and 9 so far. Almost full kill participation, no deaths, no kill secures, just doing everything he can to help his team out, provide that utility, and he's been doing a great job of it. Talisman of Ascension up and running for him too means when he needs to get somewhere fast or get out in a hurry, either one of those are possible. Nisqy still honestly struggling this game too, not really coming online. 0, 2, and 4 has 2 items completed, but when you compare that to Apollo, who's got 3.5, well, Nisqy's got 2.5 if I'm giving him a fair amount of credit here. It's still an item behind, and Apollo is just such a threat.
He really is, but that being said, Cloud9 are in a bad position now, but they have very good wave clear between the Sivir and the Syndra. So if you can sit back and you have strong scaling and good wave clear, there are ways to actually hold on and stay relevant in this game. Nisqy eventually will complete that IE. We'll get to those stages where he has Last Whisper. When he has IE and Last Whisper, he's going to be a monster in the team fights because the Rek'Sai can really start to take over. Envy is going to knock down at least this one turret, but this is not a game-ending Baron power play by any means. It is giving them a good advantage, but still in the side lane, Impact is going to have the edge there. It's not as large as it was over Seraph, but Cloud9 would like to slow down the game, wave clear with their 4-man squad, get Impact in the 1v1 against Seraph where he can start really being effective again.
The Baron buff wears off, with Envy now sitting almost 5,000 gold ahead of their opponents. And what you really want to see out of a team like this now, a team that, remember, was 10th place in Spring Split. A team that people were surprised to see make the improvements that they did this split in summer. They now know that they've clinched 6th for playoffs. You want to see them show what a top-tier team can do, and that is translate a lead into a win and do it in a way that looks good.
Exactly. That's something that would really build a lot of confidence for them, and you can see, hey, they're pretty good at actually closing out these games with the lead in the late game. Very strong late game. If you look at those stats from Envy, 19 and 4 is actually really impressive. This is not an enormous lead though, and they are up against Cloud9. So we'll see how well they're going to be able to actually close this one out. If they could force that third game, it would be pretty big for Envy.
3 different Gargoyle Stone Plates running now as well. Really thought it was important to point those out because that item is such a game changer in team fights. It can make your tank just so ridiculously hard to kill that even if the coordination isn't 100% on point, it'll buy enough time to make up for it.
Yeah, and one of the really nice things about the item is the fact that it's a pretty short like window, but it's such a big amount of damage reduction. So you actually use all your spells at the start for maximum damage, then utilize the item while your abilities are on cooldown. So you're not really missing out on much damage at all. And that's kind of supposed to be the downside of the item. So as it expires, then your spells come back up and you're always able to utilize it to really maximize that damage and the survivability.
Impact knows that Seraph's right next to him, but doesn't want to risk this right now. Knows that his team is nowhere nearby.
And you see, he doesn't have the vision in the jungle anymore. So he doesn't have the confidence to actually go forward because he doesn't know, is LirA up here? Is Taliyah up here? That's a 1v1 he would love to take, but it's not what he wants.
Good interrupt. LirA tried to take his tunnel away, but Contractz hitting him with the elastic link. The fight is going out. LirA pops his Gargoyle Stoneplate. Smoothie gonna be in some danger. Cosmic Radiance comes down. C9 is all invulnerable and shining in this fight. But are they gonna be able to maintain it? Smoothie taking low. Contractz taking low. Big Gnar combo. As Contractz is right back there into the middle. Apollo is gone. Seraph will not be able to tank any longer, and Cloud9 has their fight.
Can they chase though? They get a couple kills. It's the 2 for 0. Baron is not up. So C9 get those kills. They hold on and they're gonna be able to close the gap a little bit more, but it's not going to mean anything more than that. There's no big objective from the take, and the waves are pushing in, so they will stabilize, but not take over.
Not letting Envy win that fight is so big, though, because if they do, they're right next to your base. They just march on in, and they really start to close this game out.
Yeah, and you saw how good of a Taric ultimate there we got from Smoothie, really making the difference, getting it on all 4 members that were essentially in range of damage from Envy. It gives them such a head start on this fight, and let's look one more time as you called it out. The interrupt on the tunnel keeps LirA over here, but it looks like it may be an Envy fight anyway, as Contractz is getting hooked in. He pops the ultimate very quickly coming out of this, spamming the ultimate where he can no longer be disabled, pulls back to his team, and the Cosmic Radiance is going to drop down. Notice that Smoothie positions it so it gets pretty much down on everyone, and they do fly forward. As Impact gets into Gnar, beautiful 3-man ult there, pulling in Apollo, the key member, and being able to utilize that leap, which he still saved, to follow and clean up that kill was just great.
Cloud9 still holding on, still showing themselves as a contender here in this game. Damage in the last fight, over 4K for both Nisqy and Sneaky. And let's be honest, Impact wasn't far off. Fight breaking out though now. The catch out onto Seraph, nearly able to bring him down. Envy now peeling themselves back, protecting their top laner. Cloud9 wins that fight.
I mean, that's the ricochet damage coming out of Sivir. When you get to this later game stage, you just have to hit anyone, and there are tanks who you can hit, and the ricochets will bounce that damage back into the backline. IE is really the last item that Sneaky really needs. He has that armor pen now. When he gets the ricochet crit, it's going to be massive, but they made it on Hakuho.
No, Hakuho caught out as Contractz now going in for more. Nisqy and Apollo get themselves back. TP used by Seraph onto the mid lane. As now Contractz and the rest of Cloud9 may be able to go for Baron if they want to. 5 versus 4.
Contractz is looking for the engage. They're actually going to try to turn and fight this. In goes Contractz. He
there
got
they go. There's no way to stop it with the play this time. Let's bounce on the big targets as now the Cosmic Radiance comes down. Envy goes out and Seraph tries to stand but will not today. The hero's entrance makes a hero's exit as Cloud9 still pursues this one. Seraph should fall momentarily with the stretching strikes connecting. The wallop smacks him down. And Cloud9 get their fight. 4 dead on the side of Envy. TP used by Impact. LirA having to run away, and the minions will march into the base.
They're actually going to try to end through by here, I think. We'll see if they have enough time, but popping the ultimate, utilizing the TP, says they are committed to trying to finish the game here. 35 seconds on Seraph, about 30 seconds on Nisqy and Apollo, and I think they're going to be able to close this one out.
It's only Hakuho and LirA. These guys are both pure tanks. Look at LirA's build. It's essentially a tanky support. He goes in trying to stop it, but what can he do? The kill comes out. Jensen takes the credit. And ladies and gentlemen, it was a close fought second game. But Cloud9 knows how to end, or do they? I may have spoken a little bit too soon. Apollo now back alive. Change of corruption come out. Nisqy making his way now into the fight as well. Hakuho down. Cloud9 still taking down the Nexus. 1/4, 1/5, 1/6. See you later. Cloud9 2-0.
What an ending there for Cloud9. Able to find the engage by the Baron. Such a great bait there from Contractz and a fantastic engage. Really turns around this game, gets them the kills, and then that was a quick decision to actually commit for the end. Most teams would have gone back to Baron, I think, and taken that guaranteed objective, but they commit the teleport to save the minions for the inevitable push. It was actually 1 minion alive when they got to the Nexus turrets. Had Impact not TP'd so quickly, there would not have been minions for them to complete that push.
And I'm always impressed when I see a play like that because, like you said, most teams would clear Baron, but that instantaneous decision-making, Impact saying, no, TP, we win here, this is it. The whole team goes there. They all commit as a group. There wasn't any hesitation where some guys were like, I don't know, maybe we should still take Baron. Everybody went together, and they just barely finish it all in time.
I mean, LirA tried to give his life to clear out the minions so they could have the backdoor bonus to actually defend those turrets. And had there not been that one last minion, I think those turrets live long enough that Envy maybe comes up and has a chance to defend, right? But it's pretty crazy to think if one more turret shot had gone off on a minion, maybe Cloud9 doesn't win that game. So very fast TP from Impact, very fast thinking, and an impressive way to close out a game that was looking pretty good for Envy for a lot of it.
It really was a game of just these small individual moments. Whether it was Hakuho's Flay or Impact's big Mega Gnar in the jungle, there were so many just 1 second single ability differences in what could have been a fight going one way or the other.
It's been a rough weekend, though, for Seraph. I mean, he finishes this one 1-5-4. I believe yesterday in the series he was a combined something like 0-15-4. Definitely had a rough couple matches, I think, against Impact. Impact, to me, really was the big game changer. With the massive advantage that he had on Cloud9, he was able to buy a lot of time. He was so effective in the team fights. And really, without that, I don't know if this is a game that Cloud9 wins.
Impact, I mean, I always hate saying this because it's his name, but he had such an impact in this game. The 2 solo kills. I mean, when you start a game 2-0 and both of it is just your top laner saying, oh, hey, I killed the other guy, by the way, don't worry about it. That's ridiculous.
And he was able to convert that into both the top lane turrets, right? So give that global gold over to Cloud9, give that advantage over to his teammates as well. He was creating pressure. He was big in the team fights. Certainly a lot of credit has to go to Jensen also, who kind of quietly was 8-1-5 as he seems to sort of always end up being.
Slip under the radar.
But really a lot of the big plays certainly were made by Impact.
And the rest of the team was able to respond to the fact that things weren't going that well for them. We criticized Smoothie's Cosmic Radiances. They weren't completely on point early. They were good, especially in that fight in the jungle where we said Impact had the great Mega Gnar. That Cosmic Radiance that you brought up, the 4-man effect was huge too.
Yeah, I mean, Smoothie had some really good ultimates in this game. There's a couple that maybe he would not be super happy about. He talked about how he's a perfectionist, and I think that's something that you have to look back at and think, hey, how can I improve on? What is the optimal way to use it? How early do you use it? Because if you use it too early, it's wasted. If you use it too late, it's also wasted.
Well, for more on that series, I'm happy to be the first one to send it over to Avali May, who's standing by for an interview with C9's jungler.
Thanks, guys, and great cast on the day. I am here with Contractz. Contractz game 2. What a big turnaround. Can you please tell me how you guys were able to take that game?
Well, that game we were actually ahead. I'd say pretty ahead early, and we had a lot of good fights. But then mid game came, and we started taking really risky, bad fights where we wouldn't fully utilize Taric ulti, and we were just making a lot of misplays in team fights, and mechanics were sloppy, and I don't know, it was just going all bad. And we found it hard to make plays with Zach because I have Rek'Sai and Thresh to cancel my jump. So it was really hard to find angles. And overall, I mean, we just found like one fight at the end and turned around the game. And Impact played a pretty huge part in this win, I'd say. So yeah.
Well, you were able to figure out those angles and picked up the win. This is actually your 5th match win in a row. To what do you accredit the success to?
5-win streak, I think it feels pretty good. We're just focusing really hard for playoffs, and during our slump, we're not finding we just weren't meshing together really well, and we just kept losing our leads, or we wouldn't have the best macro. And I think everyone on the team is just working as hard as they possibly can to improve that, and I think we're doing really well for ourselves now.
And it's all worked out. Right now, I want to pick your brain a little bit. We're coming to the end of the split. Last week, you were Rookie of the Split, and we have 3 wonderful candidates, one of who you just played against. In your opinion, who do you think should be crowned Rookie of the Split?
I'm not too sure. I think it's either between Mike Young or Nisqy, but Mike Young has been not been performing too well, and P1 as a team hasn't been doing too hot. So I think overall probably Nisqy is better. Yeah.
Not even your own jungler trying to fight for your own role?
Nah.
Nah. Well, Contractz, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, and we're going to go ahead and throw it back to our casters.
Thank you, Avali.
At the great interviews of the day.
Yep, great interviews on the day. But at the conclusion of this series, I want to talk a little bit more about the team comp that Cloud9 had. Because we talked at the start, we were saying, oh my gosh, they got Zach, and then they got the Gnar, and that was able to work so well. Break this down for me a little bit, Azale. Why was this comp so effective?
I think it's so effective because of all the inherent synergies it has. Okay, you have 3 frontline who essentially want to engage. You have a big speed up from your AD carry who allows you to engage. You have an AoE immunity ultimate from your support, which also enables your engage, right? And then you have the backline damage. You have a lot of good targets actually for Sivir in the frontliners of Envy, and you can essentially just ricochet damage to the backline. You have Jensen to try to zero out anyone who gets knocked down low. So I think it's a very powerful composition from C9, and it was interesting to hear Contractz talking a little bit about it and why he had thought that it wasn't going so well. You know, he also kind of pinpointed the fact that some of the Taric ultimates weren't utilized to their full effect.
And although the game was close, that composition did end up finding success at the end. We've got a replay for you guys of that final team fight that happened that Cloud9 was able to find their win in so successfully.
Yeah, I think Contractz so smart here, waiting on the side, knowing that Envy had no choice really, but to try to contest this Baron. They get baited in. He finds the knock-up on both of the carries, ults them into the team, and that spells disaster for Envy as the Cosmic Radiance was there. There's no real chance for Envy to fight back, and this TP was so smart from Impact. We're not actually going to get to see it, but immediate TP to the bot lane, preserving those minions, starting the push, full commitment to ending, you know, Sneaky popping Sivir ultimate to run them down faster there. Like, there's not even a tier 2 that was knocked down yet on the bot side, but that's where they end. That's how they did it, and it's also speaks to their preparation for getting the wave pushing, you know, and having that wave crashing at the time they're around Baron, because normally, even if you can't end there, you're creating pressure. You're making someone answer that wave, and all these little things that C9 did right were kind of rewarded all at once.
Yeah, that final play from Impact there, making that teleport, is just the icing on the cake of just his fantastic performance throughout this entire game. He is our player of the game in game number 2. From the first bloods to the team fighting, the Mega Gnar ultis, and that final teleport, he just did it all.
Yeah, extremely deserving player of the game. The solo kill up on Seraph. Then he goes back. He's going to look for another one on Seraph, and really was completely dominating the top side of the map. Carved out for himself at one point a 3-level advantage. Was able to knock down both of the turrets by himself on the top side, and then making big plays in the team fights was really what closed this game.
And what an awesome thing to see from someone who, for so long in this split, the commentary around him was he doesn't look to be in the same form that he was in spring. He is back.
I mean, he's coming together right at the right time here for C9. They need the consistency from Impact. And look at this engage, finding both the tank and Apollo. Multiple times he was able to find Apollo on this Varus, who was having a very good game for himself. But, you know, Varus is susceptible to the engages. He was always able to find it in Impact. Really impressive stuff from him, and it's very promising for Cloud9 and their fans as they go into what's going to be probably a pretty tough match against Dignitas.
Right, and this team has one series left to play now in the regular split. It is up against Echo Fox, which is one of our weaker teams, one of the teams that did not qualify for playoffs. They beat Envy here. This was their tougher of the 2 matches this week. Things bode well for Cloud9 to close this out on a 6-series streak.
Which is so impressive, especially considering they started 6-6, right? Going from there to 12-6, the team has made big improvements, but they have not been playing a lot of the very best teams down this stretch. So it still remains to be seen. How do they match up if they go further in the playoffs against teams, you know, like Immortals, like TSM, because they haven't really found as much success against them.
It will be a difficult task for Cloud9 to accomplish, but with the form they're currently in, it is one that they can do. We've got another series coming your way next. Before we jump into FlyQuest versus Team Liquid, make sure to tune in for Dash's interview with Liquid Steve. Don't y'all go anywhere. We'll be back soon.
You know who it was paid by.
Africa,
Africa in, right?
In?
Yeah.
Yes.
In playoff?
Yes. Oh, Africa so good when LirA left. I don't like becoming better and better.
Fnatic very good now, you know?
Which may punish him a little bit, but Seraph out of mana and actually gonna get blocked, may get taken down.
Nice job by Impact.
No, we can fight. Hey, Varus, he's dead, stunned. Galio. Fine.
Impact grabbed up, pulled into the middle of the fight, juggled around like some sort of circus sideshow, and Cloud9 loses 2.
In goes Contractz, he got
There they go, there's no way to stop it with the play this time. Let's bounce onto the big targets as now the Cosmic Radiance comes down, Envy goes out, and Seraph tries to stand but will not today. See you later. Cloud9 2-0.